Well, I guess we never really distributed.
We are doing it live from Denver, Colorado. This is the 2017 USA Climbing Sport and Speed National Championships. Welcome everybody to Movement Climbing and Fitness here in Denver, Colorado. Neely Quinn, Chris Widener, and Brian Reynolds here with you for this morning's semifinal round of the sport competition here. And guys, we had a very exciting qualifier last evening. We had a big field of men and women. We whittled them down to 23 women and 21 men for today's semifinals. Nothing really too surprising in yesterday's qualifiers, but what do you guys take away from the men's field first?
Well, there were a couple men who made the qualifiers look pretty easy, and there were a lot of men who struggled, so they definitely divided the field pretty well. We've got Josh Levin, Kai Leitner, Jesse Grouper, and Noah Ridge coming out as our first four, and we've got a lot to look forward to today with them.
And what I think is interesting about that one, Neely, is that you'd guess that Kai Leitner would be up there for sure, and certainly the other guys have shown talent in the past and have been on the podium, but we just haven't seen Josh Levin and Noah Ridge out here. And then after that, Solomon Barth, certainly Drew Rawana, who was in fifth, is an expected finalist. But yeah, it's kind of up in the air with the guys, actually. It's pretty interesting there.
Yeah, it was a really fun qualifying round for the men. A lot of exciting finishes on both of the qualifying routes for the guys. And like Neely said, some of the guys made the top of the routes look pretty hard, and then the top qualifiers made them look really easy. So still need to see where these guys are at here in semifinals. And for the women, excuse me, Neely, for the women, even fewer surprises, really. The top 6 women, Ashima Shiraishi, Margot Hayes, Brooke Rabatou, Claire Burfine, Michaela Kirsch, and Kyra Condi, all names that you would definitely expect to see making it through to semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, one of the only surprises I found in the women's field is that Delaney Miller was not here. And she is a 3-time national champion who I think relatively last minute decided not to show up in favor of doing some more outdoor climbing. So, like you said, though, certainly the comp is heating up with the top 3, with Brooke, Margot, and Ashima really vying for that top spot.
Yeah, Margot Hayes, Grace McKeon, and Michaela Kirsch all were first, second, and third place last year, and they're all here representing really strong. We have multiple 14D climbers, a new 15A climber out there, Margot Hayes, and I love watching them, so I'm psyched for today. One thing I'm also excited about is the women's route. They named it Skyfall because of the whipper that those ladies are going to be taking off the top, so that'll be fun to watch.
Nice.
As we see the athletes down there on the floor here at Movement getting their route preview in. This semifinal round is an on-site format, so unlike yesterday's qualifiers where the competitors are able to watch everyone climb on the routes today, they just get this preview to look at the routes from the ground, and then they will go back into isolation before coming out for their respective efforts on their single attempt.
That's right, and it's hard to overstate the difference between the flash format from yesterday and the on-site format from today. Yesterday we saw a lot of people doing unexpected clips and yet doing the same sequences, all because they've watched a video of somebody climbing the route. Today, all day, semifinals and finals tonight, they are just simply having 5 minutes to talk about the route, look at the route, they go back into ISO, and they come out. I think we're going to see a lot of different beta. We're going to see people trying different things and not being nearly as sure of themselves as they were yesterday.
Yeah, they definitely learned from each other. There were a couple of places on the men's route where they needed to clip from above, and I think that it was really helpful for the people who came later to learn from the people in the beginning, and they're not going to get that opportunity this time.
Yeah, that's a great point, Neely. And you were also talking to the route setters before we came up here to get started this morning, and they had some interesting insights into sort of the what they took away from qualifiers yesterday. What did they have to say?
Yeah, they just, what did they say? They said that they learned that, something a little bit stereotypical, that the women are really good at the crimpy endurance routes and they're not as good at the pinchy routes. So they sort of catered to that to make the routes more difficult today for the women. And they also found that the 2 or 3 men who made the top of the finals or of qualifiers look really easy, they had to make it harder for them. They had to tweak things, and they were here until I think, what was it, 7 in this morning?
Like 4:30.
Oh, it was 4:30. Yeah, 4:30 this morning. So they were working really hard.
Yeah, I think the theme for both the men and the women is that the competitors are going to have to get a little more uncomfortable today in the semifinal round, which is not unexpected for semifinals. Remember, we're trying to whittle this field down for our final round tonight, taking 8 competitors to finals, plus some special cases that we'll get into as we go through the round here. Most likely it will be 11 women and 9 men in finals, so we'll be keeping an eye on that from our field of 23 women and 21 men here in semis. So we get our first competitors out in the chair. We're going to get started here in just a minute. And as usual, things are always going to start slow, but they will go quickly here as we move in reverse order of qualifying. So these are the lower qualifiers from yesterday out in semifinals first as we ramp up to our top qualifiers later on this morning.
And the format they're going to use this time is as soon as one person either falls or finishes, regardless of how the other competitor on the wall is doing, they're just going to start right away. So this is just going to be constant action all day long.
We'll get some more close-up shots than we were getting yesterday, which will be really helpful to see the holds. And we got to preview the routes, and I've honestly never seen some of these holds out there, so that's exciting too.
Awesome. We got 2 frag belayers. Earning major belay tokens. When you tap on your shoulder next
Looks like the belayers are getting set down there. They're ready to take some more sports action falls. They had a very busy day yesterday, catching the falls of some 125 competitors times 2.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a fun way to spend your Friday evening, but certainly appreciate all the volunteers out here this weekend. Great support from the Denver climbing community, and rumors of a very packed house here for finals tonight. Should be a great atmosphere here. Not surprising at all to see the Denver community come out and support nationals. First time Rope Nationals has been back in Colorado since it was here 4 years ago, up at the other movement.
And there on the left is the women's climb, and on the right is the men's climb. And the route setters said that the women's on the left is about 13 plus, but they were saying that it might be more like 14 minus as an on-site because there's a lot of beta. It's very beta intensive. And then the men's is probably 14A or 14B, somewhere along those lines, which that's a hard on-site.
Yeah, it was kind of confusing to watch. Yesterday, we had some sense for how difficult the routes were from the route setters before the round started, and it kind of made sense when you saw some of the early men, especially struggling on the finishes of both qualifiers, but then the top guys came out and just made it look so easy. It made you wonder how hard those routes actually were, but
yeah,
the level here is so high.
Yeah, and I think what we're going to see here, because it is in reverse order of how they finished yesterday, we're going to see people getting progressively higher as the competitors go through their running order.
And here we go, guys. Semifinals is underway.
Marissa Romero for the ladies on the left, and Joey Katama on the right.
Joey Katama is out of Thousand Oaks, California. He is 17 years old, and he's 5'6".
Getting our first look at that dyno low on the men's semifinal there.
Marissa is another Team Texas offshoot here. We have a huge contingent. Seems like we have the most competitors from both the Boulder, Denver area and from Texas.
Tons of Texans.
Marissa is 19 years old and has been climbing for 7 years.
She's also a speed climber. She got second place at Speed Pan American Games. There's a lot of tape going on this year.
Scoring for semifinals is super simple. Climbers just get scored on the highest hold they get to. That's going to be what determines who makes it through to finals. And there goes Marissa Romero.
I'm impressed with how high Joey Katama is getting right now. Normally, you'd expect to see the first climbers falling pretty low, but so far, Joey, he's already 2/3 of the way up the wall.
He has nothing to lose right now.
Oh no, and he's missing that.
Yeah, he missed it. So there's a screw on that right pinch, and he missed it. So he was just on the pinch.
It seemed like he just was in a little bit of a hurry there.
I would be. God. That's awesome. Yeah, if he had just gotten a couple inches higher on that pinch, he would have had a decent hold. Awesome show by Joey Katama. Impressive.
And as Chris said, we're going to move right along to our next competitors as soon as each climber falls. So try to keep the action moving here. Lauren Bear coming out next for the women, and Devin Wong for the men.
Lauren Bear, another Team Texas member. She's only 15 years old. There are a lot of 15-year-olds here, and that means that this is their first time competing among the adults. So Lauren took first at Youth Bouldering Nationals in 2015. She's also a speed climber, though. She took first at 2016 Youth Speed.
And this is the Sport and Speed National Championship, so there will be speed finals later tonight as well. We'll have that as part of our finals broadcast later on tonight. Should be getting started around 6:45 Mountain Time with that broadcast. Not going to want to miss that.
There's that dyno for the guys there. That dyno looks especially hard because the right hand they're coming off of is it looks like a tiny slopey crimp. So it's a little challenging.
Devin Wong is always fun to watch. We see him in Boulder. He's from Boulder on Team Sickbird. He's been climbing for 5 years, and he's definitely one of those up-and-coming mutants. 5'4".
For the men, this is where their qualifier route was yesterday, so some familiar terrain squeezing on that corner right now.
Oh,
Oh, and a quick fall there for Devin Wong.
Lauren Bear's still holding on, though, giving us a look at these moves. It's really interesting route setting. I've never seen it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't quite notice the top of that volume from the ground.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good hold for her right there. Going to help her transition out to the final head wall there on the left.
I think this is a really big move, though, coming up.
She's definitely going to want to rest as much as possible. Definitely tell from the ground there are no more resting positions once you leave this area on the women's semifinal. See the top of the route there.
She's a Red River Gorge climber, so she's got some experience with resting and endurance. That is not how I thought that would go. That is so, oh.
So not able to make it work there for Lauren Bear, but still an early high point for the women. Going to be fascinating to see how the rest of the field tackles that section. Like we were talking about earlier, they have no preview of how these moves go like they did yesterday, so I have to dig into their bag of tricks and experience this morning.
Yeah, I prefer the on-site format. I mean, it just tests the skills, the overall climbing skills of a climber a little bit more.
It definitely ratchets up the pressure on the competitors too. Unlike something like Bouldering Nationals, where if you fall, you get to get back on. These rope comps, if you fall, it's over.
Yeah.
It can happen quick.
And I think any good coach is going to train them on that, on on-site format.
Yeah, even though, as we pointed out, a lot of these competitors are just 15, 16, 17 years old. They've been competing at a high level for 5, 6, 7, 8 years by the time they get to be that age. So they're used to this format and experience.
This is Palmer Larson out of Utah. He's 21 years old. He's 6'1".
Been climbing since he was 11. Like you said, they've been competing for a long time.
Palmer could definitely be a threat to make it into the finals. Struggled a little bit in qualifiers yesterday, but we've seen him do really well at Bouldering Nationals as well.
Yeah, it's unusual. It seems to have such a good hold, a good resting position, just a few bolts off the ground.
Yeah, that's actually probably a nice benefit for the men. The warm-up areas, as is common for these rope comps, it's just a bouldering area. So it can be a little hard to get in that rope climbing flow just from bouldering around. So that kind of a nice spot there for the men to get things going.
That's 20-year-old Carrie Scott from Carborough, North Carolina.
Palmer really getting his money's worth there.
The route setters said that these routes are kind of a hybrid of the routes that we had yesterday. Each of the climbers, or each of the women and men, had 2 routes that they had to do yesterday. And so there were some crimps, there were some pinches, a lot of slopers. And so these routes kind of have it all on one route.
Yeah, it's such a fun thing to watch as the weekend progresses, how the route setters adapt and adjust what they put out there for the competitors. Just trying their best to put out the most fair canvas for the climbers to separate themselves on.
I'm always impressed with how well they accomplished their goal of that, too. I mean, it seems like if you just had a few wrong things about a route, everybody would be falling in the same spot or whatever, and they just do such an excellent job of making this work.
I know, they've kind of made a science out of it.
Yeah, it's a very experienced setting crew this year, including past rope climbing national champion Brad Weaver. As Palmer Larson falls just a little bit higher than Devin did there.
Yeah, it looks like they need that rest in the beginning. It doesn't look like it lets up in that middle part for a while.
So Joey Katama's early high point looking more impressive as we go here. And that's definitely something that has happened in years past, where one of the first competitors comes out and just puts up a really great performance. They have no pressure.
Yep.
not as much time to sit back there and think about it either. They just get out there and get climbing.
It's interesting to watch different heights of people. I was going to say Carrie Scott is 5'10", so she's a lot taller than a lot of these women.
Yeah, Neil, you were talking to the route setters about that as well, how they sort of adapt these wildly different styles and body types for these competitors.
Yeah, I said, do you set specifically for anything specifically for a Shima or for Kai or anything? And they said no, but we make sure that if Kai can reach something from a low foot, we want to have a foot up there for the shorter guys so that it's not unfair. Like, they try to keep it really fair, which I appreciate. I don't think they always did that.
Yeah, it's definitely something to try to be cognizant of now. So we get our next male competitor out on the wall there. Tristan Chen for the men.
He's a 17-year-old from Colorado Springs.
He was having a lot of fun during qualifiers yesterday. Reminder, as we go through this weekend, you can go to usaclimbing.org, check out live results, schedule updates, and the like. See how your favorite climber is doing.
We got Stella Noble climbing on the left. Stella is from Boulder, Colorado, another Team ABC climber. She has been a youth national champion in the past.
I don't think she topped either of the climbs yesterday, but she did do really well. She got high.
That'd be fun to do the math on how many youth national champions are in this field. Oh, wow.
Oh.
Tristan Chen just off your screen there. The foot slip, and that was it.
Dang it. Almost matching the high point of Joey Katama, but not quite.
Like I was saying, there's so many highly decorated youth competitors in the field. It's just kind of like the youth circuit's like the minor leagues for this comp.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, those youth comps seem actually more high pressure than this rope nationals.
Just because there's so many more competitors and...
Like there's just fewer parents.
Yeah. Wow, and kind of a low fall for Stella.
It's like you were saying before, though, Chris, not too surprising to see these earlier semifinalists falling lower on the route. That's what we would expect. It's actually why it was so surprising that Joey Katama got as high as he did. You always get a little nervous when you see that, when the first person getting 2/3 of the way up the route, if the route's going to be too easy. But starting to see some separation at this point. And I think that headwall for the men is going to be pretty difficult for all the guys that do get up there.
You know, I think it looks difficult, but also really tricky. It's not obvious, and it's really hard to read it from the ground. I stood down there for a while.
Yeah, it seems like most of the holds are facing the wrong direction. Always fun on the onsite, trying to figure out how that goes.
Yeah. That's Julia Talbot. She is from Florence, Massachusetts, and she's 17 years old at 5'2".
Julia was 5th place in the 2016 Youth Bouldering Nationals and 9th place in 2015 Sport Climbing Youth Nationals. I feel like she's one of those who could be creeping up slowly through the ranks, and we're going to start seeing her a lot more often in the top 5 finishers, top 5, at least 10.
And once again, we're probably going to end up taking 11 females and 9 males into finals. It's technically supposed to be 8 but we have a few special cases.
Yeah, that rest hold's going to get a lot of love today for the guys.
Pretty cool that we can throw these competitors a curveball on that men's rig, brand new Tokyo 2020 holes and flat holes. On the game, I've never even seen them. Don't know how to play with them yet. True onside style here.
Get a nice look at the wall here at movement. So far, it's been a great venue for these climbers.
Julia Talbot getting pretty high up now. I think she may have the high point so far for the ladies.
No, I think somebody got there, or to the blue hold actually, but not past that.
See if she can figure out this section. Trying to really smart rest there. She's got her leg underneath that volume on a hold. She's trying to take as much weight off her arms as she can. Even though it looks strenuous, that's actually a pretty good rest for her.
And there is no time limit, so they're not feeling the pressure of the clock, just the pressure of gravity.
Yeah. Never seems to go away. And another foot slip on the men's route.
Wow.
But Shane able to reel it back in.
Yeah,
gosh,
that was impressive.
Giving maximum effort right now.
And so he's missing that screw on too.
He's got his feet in a really good position though. I think he's going to be able to adjust into it.
Come on, get.
I don't think he sees that screw on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. That was really interesting. He seemed really solid, but like you said, Chris, I don't think he could actually see the tiny little green screw on. That looks pretty positive.
Yeah.
Just up on that hold.
One of the benefits they had yesterday of watching video of somebody else climbing the climb as it was supposed to be climbed.
All right, Julia Talbot climbing really smart here.
Making good use of her heels today.
Julia Talbot pushing to a new high point for the women. We're getting spit off there.
It's
Great
really
effort.
It's really hard to tell what the beta is there.
I think that's what the route setters were going for, though. On both routes, they didn't want it to be quite so straightforward.
Yeah, I think she's going to be happy with that one. She knows she's at the high point just from the crowd, and yeah, I think she's going to be psyched.
There's local Megan Martin, Mighty Megan. She did some Ninja Warrior stuff yesterday. She clipped a draw just hanging off of one arm. So did Brooke, but it was pretty impressive.
And on the right, Simon Hivler from Boulder, Colorado. 18 years old and 6 feet tall.
He was your adopted protege here, Chris.
Yeah, you know yeah, I really paved the way for Simon. I like to think that. Thanks, Brian, for pointing that out. Yeah, he got first place, actually, in bouldering regionals and bouldering divisionals this year.
He didn't top out either of the problems yesterday, routes, but he did get to the second to last hold on B, but he just did enough to squeak in.
A little bit of home field advantage for Simon and Megan here. They both have climbed at this gym. Always helps be a little bit familiar with the angles, at least. You're familiar with the cadence of the height of the wall and kind of knowing where you're at. Always can't hurt to have that advantage and that experience.
Megan Martin is 27 years old, like we said, out of Boulder, but originally from Florida. And she got second at Seco Comp. Was that this year or last year? But she does well. You think of her as a boulderer, but she ends up doing really well at these endurance competitions. She's just a good athlete, as we all have seen on TV.
And that's it for Simon on the men's route. Great effort.
I think it's fair to say Megan struggled a little bit during qualifiers yesterday. I think she's been a little bit distracted with some other things lately, so maybe not in peak form for this comp. Still through to semis, though. But she always says that she prefers to climb in a little bit more of these high-profile rounds like this where lights are dimmed. The mood is just right. She kind of likes that atmosphere.
I want to ask how you found that out, Brian.
Oh, look, we got a new climber out there for the men. Bobby Taft-Pittman getting started on the semifinals route.
All right. Going ANW again here. Megan Martin on the stalactite.
See a lot of the intuition and experience of the women on that rest. Just kind of finding it. You gotta take every opportunity you can. Get as much back.
Once again, the route setters called this route Skyfall because of the giant whipper they might be taking. I am very excited to see somebody get up there and take it. I have a feeling the people who are going to be getting up there might not actually fall, though.
Yeah, good chance.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where we've seen some ladies get to. Couple.
Well, Megan has matched Julia's high point at this point. She's not able to pull it in there. Curious if you're supposed to make another bump with the right hand. We'll have to see. So we swing over to Bobby there. Bobby's a 17-year-old from Longwood, Florida.
And he climbed really well yesterday in the qualifiers. It was cool to watch him climb.
Yeah, I was really impressed with his performance.
Oh, and he did find the little green jib.
First one.
So a new high point for Bobby Taft-Pittman here on men's semifinal.
You get to watch them work through these 3 triangles that are not obvious.
High point.
Yeah, that is going to be a tricky section for the men because there's really no opportunity to, have a second chance if you go with the wrong sequence. You just kind of got to commit to it and hope that you pick the right thing. And we are getting to almost the halfway point here in the semifinal round of this 2017 Sport and Speed National Championship. Got Juliet Hammer coming out for the women now.
Another Denver local. She climbs at the DBC. She's 22 years old and only 5 feet tall.
We are still waiting for our first competitors to get onto the head walls of their respective semifinal routes here. Still got our top qualifiers to come, including Ashima Shiraishi and Margot Hayes for the women, and a whole slew of guys tied for first with the men: Josh Levin, Kai Leitner, Jesse Grouper, Noah Ridge, and Drew Ruana. all waiting to be tested out there.
Prolific root and boulder developer in the Southern Colorado region. Jim Owner is the sport climbing center in Colorado Springs. He's all in, guys. That's a lifer right there.
Shout out to LT11 for bringing us this live feed. They're at LT11.tv and LT11.com.
And it can be a little bit hard to tell at home, but both these routes are gently overhanging to severely overhanging throughout. Austin Guyman about to take flight here for the men. There he goes.
Casual. Austin is 6 feet tall. And I think if you're that tall, that dyno doesn't even have to be a dyno.
Fun to see Austin out here at Rope Nationals. He's probably better known for appearing on several of our bouldering broadcasts over the years, making finals a couple of times over the years down in Colorado Springs. We're definitely fortunate to have a couple of bouldering specials here with us this weekend, including Boulder National Champion Megan Mascarenas coming up in just a few minutes for the women. And by a few minutes, I mean later on.
Those green scoops that you see on the men's route are called Tokyo 2020. They're brand new holds. And so they named the men's route from Tokyo with Love.
And so like you said, Neely, those are new holds, so the competitors aren't maybe familiar with the shapes and the grips on those, so
yeah,
it's their first opportunity to feel those out.
Exactly. That's kind of what the route setters were excited to see, is how they felt them out.
Yeah, that's actually a huge deal. I mean, in a lot of these comps, part of the training is to just climb on all of the available commercial holds and really learn them. And they just didn't have that opportunity for these. So it's kind of even more of an on-site comp, really.
Right.
That was a big bobble there from Austin Guyman, missing that clip, and it really stalled his upward momentum and caused him to fall there. So,
you know, this competition's probably doubled the amount of times Austin's even clipped a beaner in the last year. So not entirely unexpected, but yeah, still an excellent showing by Austin Guyman, as always.
Juliet Hammer about to quest into this crux section of this women's semifinal. Seeing a couple of the women stall in this next move. See if she can be the one to punch through and get us into the Skyfall territory. Still a long way to go on that women's route. She has to go up and over to the left. Get to the finish hold.
There's the hold that Megan fell off of.
You can see that.
Wow.
There's not much purchase on that right hand. And
gosh,
starting to see a little bit of a bottleneck for the women in that position. See at least 3 women fall in that move at this point.
Ben Tresco now on the right side of the wall from Sandy, Utah. He is 20 years old and has been climbing since he was 11.
He was last year's 3rd place winner at this competition. So yesterday on men's A, he got to the 2nd to last hold, and then on B, same thing, 2nd to last hold. So he didn't top either of them, but he did really well.
And the scores do reset between rounds, so even though he qualified a little bit lower than he might have expected, it doesn't hurt his ability to make it into finals at all. Only reason that qualifiers scores would come into play here is if there's some sort of tiebreak scenario. Ben looking very smooth at this point.
I like watching Ben's face when he climbs, too. He's one of the most determined climbers, or at least his face shows his determination so well.
Let's see if he can find this screw on.
See him
there
yeah,
it is.
Nice job of looking around there. I think the climbers can almost sense that they're like, this part doesn't feel that good. There must be something a little bit better that I can't quite see. So he's looking very smooth at this point. As we have seen this next section, sort of confounding at this point.
Oh,
and a foot slip and
falling off of a rest. Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
that is a devastating development for Ben Tresco.
Because you know, as the third place finisher from last year, he really, really wanted, if not expected, to make it to finals. Of course, we have yet to see how that shakes out, but disappointing for Ben. He was looking awesome.
That's what we were talking about earlier in these sport comps. 1 second you're feeling great, and the next second you're hanging on the rope and you don't even know what happened. It can happen so quickly, and it's a weird mental thing as a competitor in this sort of high-pressure situation. That things kind of happen faster than you almost realize that they even can.
I know yesterday I saw so many shocked faces on the ropes when they fell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where am I?
I think the climbers, they're so in the zone of just doing the moves and climbing that it's hard to almost process that they've fallen.
We're looking at Claire Bresnan, a 19-year-old living in Colorado Springs. She's on Team Earth Tracks.
One thing to keep in mind, especially in a route comp, is we're at about, what are we, almost 6,000 feet here of elevation. And a lot of these people from Texas or Massachusetts or wherever they're from are not used to training and climbing at elevation. So one might say that these people, the locals, have sort of an advantage.
Yeah, that's a great point, Neely. There's definitely like a cardiovascular aspect to rope climbing, trying to keep your heart rate low, and it can be a challenge if you're not acclimated.
Yeah, you're not acclimated. How are you feeling?
I got pretty winded when I had to come up the stairs yesterday.
Me
back
too,
to the booth.
so.
I am acclimated and I get winded walking upstairs.
Me too.
Somebody who is not going to get winded is out for the men right now, Carlo Traversi. I think for Carlo, you could say he struggled during qualifiers, but that really doesn't faze him, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, struggle actually does explain what happened to him in qualifiers. I mean, for a guy who has won this competition before, for a guy who has climbed V15 and multiple 514Ds, yeah, but I expect him to hopefully pull it back together. He often does that in the semifinals, doesn't he?
He definitely has a way of putting it together when it counts. He, more than anyone, knows that you can't win the comp in qualifiers, so there's no reason to get too down if things don't quite go the way you're expecting. And like you said, he is two-time national champion for rope climbing, which a lot of people probably would be surprised to learn, since Carlo's obviously more well-known for his bouldering prowess.
Yeah, he's a diverse guy. I think this past summer, he did 14, 14, 14. So he went up to Rocky Mountain National Park and did a V14, a 514, and a 14er in the same day.
It's a pretty all-time day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong. He may not have done it. I just know that
he did.
He did do it?
Yeah,
okay.
for sure. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like about Carlo. He's just so well-rounded. He has these hard bouldering goals, sport goals, yet he still wants to climb the Diamond at Long's Peak. He still wants to go to Yosemite and climb these hard trad pitches. I mean, he's just a really well-rounded and well-versed rock climber, and plastic climber for that matter.
Yeah, he's motivated, that's for sure.
And Carlo's actually a setter at movement, so he's very familiar with these walls.
Got Bimini Horseman there on the left, and she just turned 18 about a week ago. Excuse me, that's Tori Perkins on the left.
Whoopsies. That'll happen.
Oh.
So not Carlo Traversi's weekend here. Said his belayers are all in Spain. Made it tough to train. So that will likely do it for him this weekend. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, wow, what a different vibe than the bouldering comps, like you said earlier, Brian. I mean, you get one shot. At least in the bouldering comps, you get to throw yourself at something a little bit more. But yeah, one little bobble and Carlo's out.
So this is Tori Perkins. She's 18 years old, 5'9", out of Milton, Georgia.
So definitely still early goings here, but looking at some unofficial results about halfway through this semifinal round, Bobby Taft Pittman out in front for the men right now, and Megan Martin and Juliet Hammer for the women. I think we could definitely expect to see some of our top qualifiers here pushing the roots higher, though.
Tori Perkins was last year's 5th place youth sport and speed climber. She has placed really well, and I think she's just coming into her own here in this year's sport comp.
So we're on our 9th woman climber out of 23 here. And our 11th man has just come out, Augie Cohn, and we've got 21 men to climb today.
Tori taking the campusing option. Maybe just her taller stature is making her do that instead of the double heel hooks that we saw earlier.
Yeah, her left foot is just pressed against the wall there.
Looks like Augie just made that dyno. He's a local from Denver. He climbs at Rockin' and Jammin'. He's 24 years old and 5'7". He didn't top anything out yesterday, but he did get to the last hold of the second problem for men's.
Tori Perkins committing to that session, just running out of juice.
Just getting oozing off the heel hook and that hold. So far, no woman has been able to really control that right hand, miserable looking hold.
Get a nice look at the crowd here at Movement Climbing and Fitness in Denver, taking in the semifinal round.
Augie with an excellent performance yesterday. He looked on point. Let's see if he can do that again today. You know that he's been doing these comps for a long time. Always seems to be kind of middle of the road. This might be his breakthrough this year.
Seems like if any of the men or the women can punch it down to the head wall, they're going to guarantee themselves a spot in finals at this point. A lot of foot slips for the men today. Sort of like a hidden aspect of these comps. The feet come into play just as much as the hand grips you see the climbers utilizing. Another tool that root setters have to make the roots a little bit harder. So make the climbers get into strenuous positions just like this.
Wow.
Just a little bit too strenuous there for Augie Cohn.
Awesome effort, though. God, he just didn't even stop. Just kept moving, moving, moving. That was awesome to watch. He's got to be happy with that. He didn't really make any mistakes, just pumped off.
So we're just about halfway through the men and the women here in semifinals. Looking to take the top 8 into finals. However, because we do have 3 world champions for the women and 1 continental champion for the men who are already on the national team for the U.S., they do not count against that 8 climber quota because we are trying to pack out the U.S. national team. So if any of those climbers finish in the top 8, we will take extra climbers, which means we will likely have 11 finals for the women and 9 for the men.
Now, I believe, we are looking at Bimini Horseman. Just turned 18.
She's out of Newton, Massachusetts, and she's 5'5". She likes to climb at Rumney. So she's used to wrestling with rocks. She came in first at the SCS Youth Sport Nationals in 2016. And she's a 6-time youth U.S. team member in 3 disciplines. So I'm assuming bouldering, sport, and speed.
A lot of well-rounded climbers, especially on the women's side. Climbers are good at all the disciplines.
Yeah, it's really impressive. I don't know where they find the time to train for all those. But we were talking about that yesterday, how they do train to compete at a high level on both bouldering and routes. And it seems like the more power you have, the bigger these holds feel to you. So if you're a super powerful boulderer, it'll bode well for you in a route comp.
Yeah, just the construction of the season is a little bit strange. We had adult bouldering nationals 5 weeks ago, and then most of these younger competitors did youth nationals for bouldering the weekend after. So just 4 weeks ago, they were trying to be in peak bouldering shape, and now they got to come out here and climb on these 50-plus foot walls.
Right.
It's such a different objective.
Yeah, you'd never see that with runners. You'd never see like a sprinter then have to compete 4 weeks later in a mile. We're like unicorns. Well, they're like unicorns.
Bimini Horseman there, named after an island in the Bahamas.
Do we know that she was named after that island?
I know that she was named after that island. She told me that last year.
Because yesterday we were just assuming it. But that's pretty cool. It's a lovely name.
Now for the men is one of the more surprising names that came out of qualifiers yesterday. Ross Fulkerson, young climber out of California. Really impressive in qualifiers. His first adult nationals. As much as we know the names like Ashima Shirishi and Brooke Rabitou, those younger climbers coming up, it's fun to see these lesser-known young climbers that are just as talented.
And Ross Fulkerson has ended his bid just a bit below where some of the other guys have gotten. Likely that's his last go. But yes, Ross Fulkerson, that was awesome to watch. He's someone who will certainly be a competitor in the future for that podium.
Definitely seeing that the women's route a little more time intensive. Men's semifinal will definitely finish before the women are even close to being done at this point, which will work out perfectly actually, since the top 3 women in particular are going to be fascinating to watch. 3 of the best female climbers in the world here at Nationals this year. Should be a real treat later on this morning.
Bimini just about at the bottleneck move.
It's definitely a situation where the route setters maybe getting a little bit nervous seeing that.
Although I bet you they're not shaking in their boots quite yet with the likes of Grace McKeon, Michaela Kirsch, Brooke, Margot, Ashima, Claire Burfine to come. But even still, you don't want to see people falling on the exact same move all the time.
That's a challenging thing. The level of ability, even in this nationals field, is so wide. You've got Margot Hayes who just climbed 5:15, and the route setters really have a difficult job trying to separate climbers. Climb 5:13 as a maximum up to like 5:15 for Margot. It's such a wide array of skills. And speaking of skills, out there for the men, probably the oldest competitor in semifinals. Very close, if not the oldest, is Vasya Vorotnikov, longtime fixture at bouldering nationals, former rope national champion in his own right, though.
Not to mention at least a 14D climber. Some 15As, but I'm not able to confirm that he's climbed 15A, but
I think he did Jaws 2 out at Rumney.
That's right.
Several years ago.
He did.
So he is a very accomplished sport climber.
I think it's so cool that the strongest females are as strong as the strongest men in this comp. That's not something that we've seen before. Not at this level.
Vasya definitely moving quick right now. He is climbing super fast. He's starting to get a little shake going on.
Looks like Vasya's missed that green jib, and that is a deal breaker for these guys.
Yeah, you could tell just about 5 or 6 moves before that he started to look pretty uncomfortable.
Looks tired.
Not a good sign when it just keeps getting harder and harder.
Yep, that's 29-year-old Vasya out of Arvada. We'll see if that's enough for him.
So through 12 climbers for the men, definitely some surprising 13 climbers, I guess. Bobby Taft Pittman, Shane Mester, and Joey Katama leading the way right now.
Another local, Elena Holbert. She's out of Littleton, Colorado. She climbs at Rockin' and Jammin'. She is 16 years old and 5 feet tall.
So definitely an interesting semifinal so far. Seeing a little bit of a logjam for both the men and the women, but definitely some separation starting to take place for the men there. A couple of the men getting onto the head wall. Bobby Taft Pittman with the high point thus far. For the women, a little bit more unclear at this point what kind of separation we're going to get. Seen a lot of the women rest here for a pretty extended period of time, but it doesn't seem like they're falling on the move up to that volume because they're fatigued.
They're falling because it's darn hard.
Yeah, it's
13 plus, maybe 14A as an onsite. It definitely looks like it gets a lot harder as they go up for both of these routes.
in a lot of ways, it seems like that's sort of the first hard move.
Yeah, nobody has struggled below that.
I find on routes like this, it's probably quite stressful for these athletes when you have the opportunity to rest on something that's pretty good. Like, how long do you rest? It's tricky to decide because obviously you don't want to lose body tension and strength, but you want to gain it back, and it's really hard to tell from below what these next moves are going to be like.
So not quite at the high point, but almost. Again, that's Elena Holbert.
Luke Maring on the wall for the men, 18-year-old who's been climbing for 5 years.
There you go. Come on, Luke.
Luke looking very solid. He's just working those drop knees left and right so far.
Yeah.
Didn't.
Not on the best part of that right hand hold. You can see his hand's just below the best spot. It's going to make this really difficult for him to make that work.
Wow.
We've seen a number of the men sort of just try to power through that and get to the next hold on that volume on the head wall, but that's going to leave the clip in a very precarious position. And hasn't really come up at this point, but skipping the clips does disqualify you. You get called off as soon as your feet pass the bottom of the draw. So something the competitors have to think about as they move up the walls, where to make those clips.
So our male high point is still with Bobby Taft Pittman, is that right? Our 7th climber?
Yeah, it's definitely surprising so far.
Yeah, we're already at number 15.
Yeah, and Joey Katama's spot from the very get-go was been matched by not too many either.
Yeah, he was our 21st qualifier, and he might make it into finals at this point.
Yeah.
He would be super psyched about that.
20-year-old Katie Lamb from Lexington, Massachusetts is now climbing. I remember this time last year she had just been accepted to MIT.
I think that's her dad belaying for her.
You're right, that is.
Well, that's something to think about, too. I mean, I know that I get nervous with new belayers, and it really affects my climbing, and I don't think I'm the only person like that out there. So I wonder, you know, how many people bring their own belayers, and if that affects their climbing.
I think Katie's dad there is just one of the belayers for the entire comp. I don't think it's allowed to bring your own.
Well, I would.
Who would you bring?
I would bring Seth.
Definitely a family affair for the Lambs.
So that's Ben Hanna on men's, and yesterday he got to the last hold of the men's A route, and he actually topped out B. So he had a really good showing yesterday.
Yeah, we're already in our top qualifiers for the men. It's going to be the best competitors out of qualifiers from yesterday.
Yep, you know the route setters are just counting on these guys breaking through that high point. They really want to see some folks get to the top or at least sample those last moves. Same for the women.
It's definitely a risk for the route setters after a round yesterday where the competitors looked pretty casual. Have to be careful not to overdo it in the other direction.
Right, especially because it's their second day on now. They're under a lot of stress, so they're probably tired. It's Katie Lamb once again to your left. Oh, there goes Ben Hanna. That was surprising.
So the men are kind of all over the board here. There's really no pattern as far as who's falling where based on their qualifying position.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a just random pick out of the basket here, which is not what I would have said earlier today. In fact, it's not what I said. Kind of cool how that shakes things up here. Totally depends on the route setting. And so far, so good.
Definitely not too easy.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in safe territory there.
Yeah.
As we were kind of wondering, we saw Joey Katama come out first, and he was basically at the head wall. But that's proven to be a really great showing for him.
Katie Lamb is a former Youth C champion in Sport and Speed Nationals. No stranger to the podium. Katie Lamb could be the one to push this point. Let's see.
Remember, these competitors have been back in isolation since the round started, so they have not been able to see how the other competitors have done, where they've fallen or anything like that. They can just sort of only get a sense based on crowd reaction as to what's happened, and they're going to be a little bit in the dark. The crowd is definitely ready to get excited about somebody pushing to a new high point.
Katie Lamb is 19 years old. She's 5'4", out of Lexington, Massachusetts, and she says she likes to climb in Yosemite and Bishop. Not local crags for her. That looked easy.
So what do you guys think about this move? We've seen a number of the women get their right hand on the first pink hold on that volume and then fall trying to go up left hand again. See a nice little screw on there, actually. I didn't notice that before, where Katie's right hand just went.
It's hard to tell what that next right hold is. I don't know if it's a sloper, if it's just facing the wrong way, or what's going on, but...
I mean, it looks like you could possibly use a left heel out left, but I don't know. Nobody seems to use it that way, so...
You know, it's also about locking off with your left hard enough that you can get purchase on that hold. So we're going to need our Brooke and our Ashima and Margot to just lock that off to control it.
I think that's one of the areas where the route setters are trying to do something the women are maybe a little less comfortable with style-wise compared to what we had yesterday.
Yeah, that pinch.
We have Solomon Barth out there for the men. Our 6th place qualifier from yesterday.
He did do men's B yesterday, but he didn't quite do A. He got to the last move, so that was good in terms of men's performances yesterday.
Yeah, he's our last qualifier that did not do both of the routes yesterday.
Oh.
He falls quickly through that section as well.
Did he?
All right, we're going to catch our breath. We have our top qualifiers coming up. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 2017 USAC Sport and Speed National Championships. We are here in the semifinal round of the sport competition with Chauncey Carroll here out for the women.
Colorado Pride tights there. Got to love that.
Can't see, but I'm wearing those too, Chris.
Oh, stop.
That's what she was wearing at Bouldering Nationals too, right? That's right. Represent.
And Drew Ruwana on the right from Redmond, Washington.
Yeah, so we're into the top five now for the men, all tied for first out of qualifiers, so they're just coming out in a semi-random order based on how they were in the running order yesterday.
And we've run through so many more of the men because I think they just have to climb their route faster, and they're getting spit off a little faster. So
Drew Ruwana is one of the guys who topped both A and B yesterday. So everybody, all of the guys who come out after this will have done the same yesterday.
Yeah, it was a no falls day for Drew yesterday.
I would expect to see him do pretty well in this section.
Chauncey's doing something different here. Unfortunately, it didn't work for her.
Wow. Yeah, and Drew just kind of casually reaching that undercling where several guys were just exploding out of it.
So Drew getting our first look at this cryptic men's head wall. Not able to figure it out, though.
That's a match of the high point, right?
I would think that's a new high point. We'll check on that once we get the scores in. Certainly the most comfortable looking up there, but there are no, no points for comfort, unfortunately. But we've been talking about that since we saw that section of the men's route. You really only get one chance to pick a sequence, and you just kind of have to go with it. You saw Drew kind of didn't like where he had gone with it, but it was too late. That should be enough to get him into the final. Should be taking the top 9 men to the final, top 11 women, barring some unforeseen surprises in our top qualifiers.
Which could very well happen with the guys. It's hard to say.
Yeah, you never know. We saw that surprising result with Delaney Miller in finals last year. You'd certainly expect the top competitors to execute. It's what they do. But there's a reason they make you go out and do the route.
Yeah, they can't just do this on reputation alone, huh?
Just do it on Instagram follower account or something. So we got
Go ahead, Brian.
Got past second place finisher Noah Ridge out there for the men on the right side of your screen.
And Natalia Grossman from Team ABC out of Boulder, Colorado. She's 15 years old. Noah was looking really strong yesterday. Made everything look pretty easy.
Yeah, it's great to see Noah back here after a couple years of injury. Kept him away from nationals. But he came very close to winning a few years back when Brad Weaver won. So it would not be surprising to see Noah back on the podium here. So after Natalia, we have 9 women left, and after Noah, just 3 men. So we'll be turning all of our attention to the women here in just a little bit.
Yeah, Noah Ridge looking like he's having a tough time figuring out that sequence that a lot of guys have cruised past.
I think you can tell he needs to get that clip done. So definitely some extra energy being expended right now for Noah Ridge. He looks all out of sorts right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, these new holds. Tokyo 2020s.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, gosh.
That was a tough sequence for Noah Ridge. See if he can recover.
Glad he got that one clipped. He was looking at a pretty uncomfortable fall.
Yeah, surprisingly yesterday we only saw a couple near misses where people fell while clipping or they just took really big falls and almost hit the ground, but not quite. So again, our belayers are doing a really great job.
Come on, go check out what that Tokyo 2020 talk's all about.
Yeah, it's interesting. At the same point on the wall where Natalia Grossman now can just get quite a good rest. The men are going 60 miles an hour just trying to punch through this section of pinches and jibs.
Wow, smart.
Noah climbing high right now.
Except that
Clipping low.
Climbing high and clipping low.
interesting beta. This is new. And
New
that's
high point for Noah Ridge. So excellent performance after struggling in the midsection there. Showing that experience. Should be seeing Noah Ridge in tonight's final.
No doubt. Yeah, in fact, about half the men are going to make it to finals tonight. Natalia hesitant to leave the safety of the rest.
Natalia will definitely have a lot of local support here as she presses into this crux sequence. It's been a while since we've seen any of the women get to that grip. But just no purchase there at all. There's just nothing to bite your fingers into. So that's going to do it for Natalia Grossman.
At number 52, up next, Jesse Gruber. He got that TNF Gun Gun Award 2 years back.
They're all being thwarted about 2/3 of the way up the wall. I mean, our high point for women is still, I think, Julia Talbot or Megan Martin, and that was 10 climbers ago.
Yeah, so even though I was saying Megan Martin looked a little bit, not quite at top form this weekend, she's going to make it through to the final. So
That'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's always hard early on to tell how well the competitors are doing because, sure, we expected them all to be, at this point, the women getting up to the top of that wall, taking that infamous whipper where there is no last quick draw on the, there's no quick draw on the last bolt, rather. But so far, we have yet to see them break through.
We have yet to see the Skyfall,
Exactly.
this route's namesake. Jesse Gruber is up on the men's route. Once again, he did top out both A and B routes yesterday.
Jesse took second at Nationals 2 years ago behind Kai Leitner, who was coming up right after him. So they'll be battling it out here again at Nationals.
He's from Montclair, New Jersey. He's 20 years old and 5'10". He's also a Seco Block competitor, got 3rd place 1 year.
Out on the wall for the women there is Grace McKeon. Ready for her semifinal showdown here.
She didn't top either of the routes yesterday, but she did get close to topping out A.
I will remind you that Grace is our 2nd place finisher from last year at Sport and Speed Nationals.
She's kind of struggling to get the upward movement that she needs on this hold. I've seen a number of the women actually match in that pocket that she's in to get the boost they need. There she goes.
Nice.
But she making it work there.
If you want to join the conversation on social media, you can use the hashtag USAC Sport Speed. Once again, that's USAC Sport Speed.
Ooh, and Jesse Grouper apparently not seeing that green jib either. Nobody has been able to make it past this move if they have not found that.
Whoa!
Oh my God. He just stands up so strong into that undercling.
Wow.
So strong.
Now he...
Keep it together, buddy. Oh, almost.
Oh.
Can just see that he didn't quite get enough purchase on that left sloper.
Visibly shaking, his whole body trembled off the wall.
That was great.
Yeah, great effort. Even though he didn't do things optimally, he still made it work there.
Definitely see him in finals.
Gosh, this is crazy. We only have 2 men left, and nobody's even clipped the last draw.
Yeah. We have Kai Leitner and Josh Levin left, and Josh Levin looked, both of them were super strong yesterday, so we might see a top.
Melina Costanza from Seattle, Washington, Team Vertical World. Same team as Drew Ruana.
I think that's still Grace McKeon hanging out there.
You're right. That is still Grace McKeon.
She's definitely all about that rest.
It's just that they take so long on
Yeah,
this
I
route.
get thrown off here by these rests.
Yeah.
You know, she like belay up there second at this point. Turn this into a 2-pitch route.
We have a Kai Leitner sighting.
Kai's the 2015 adult sport climbing national champion, winning in his first year as an adult.
And then last year he got second place. And this year in bouldering nationals, he got second place too. No pressure, Kai.
Definitely think Kai is one of the favorites to win it tonight, but first he's got to make it into finals.
Grace McKeon is also a favorite among the women here. She could be the one to get past this move. She has done very, very well in rope comps, bouldering comps, Seco comps.
We saw her struggle with a similar style move lower on the route, though. She is pressing so hard on that heel, but not enough strength left in that left shoulder for Grace McKeon.
Another strong Texas climber, though. 18-year-old Grace McKeon. That was a good effort.
Not sure what it's going to take for women to get through that move, whether it's totally different beta or if it's just simply the hooking powers of people like Ashima and Margot, or the lock-off power or speed of Kyra and Michaela. Hard to say.
I'm a little worried that they're not going to be able to divide this field with this route for the women. I mean, we still have quite a few left, and we have Megan Mascarenas, Kyra Condi, Michaela Kirsch, Claire, the rest, but who knows what could happen? They might have to go back to qualifiers to figure out who's going to go to finals. Doing what he does best, staying calm.
Kai Leitner got this well in control at this point.
All eyes are on Kai Leitner. The stadium here is quiet except for the occasional cheers, just focusing in and hoping he is going to be the guy to get past the high point.
That was a ridiculous clip. No need for that screw on.
Ooh, just like Jesse Grouper, he missed the jib, but still made it happen.
Kai looking much more in control than the other men at this point. Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Tried to readjust that hand.
That left hand must be just terrible.
Wow.
So Kai Leitner going to make it through to the final, but would have loved to see him push it a little bit higher there. He looked pretty solid compared to the other men who usually at that spot were kind of maxed out. But he just kind of bobbled that adjustment with his right hand, and he was off.
It's just so hard to tell from the ground or from where we're sitting right now on the side how, you know, the quality, I guess, of those holds. That left hand hold, all the guys who have touched it have just not been able to do anything with it.
So with just one male competitor to come, Kai's going to be right up there with Jesse Grouper and Drew Ruana and Bobby Taft Pittman in the top 4. So Bobby Taft Pittman going to make it through to the final as well. Very exciting for him this weekend.
Yeah, because he only qualified as, well, he was our 7th climber, so pretty early out. That was a good showing by him. This is Melina Costanza.
Can we give a shout out to our players who have just been up here for hours and grinding it out? Happy thank you guys.
Melina is from Seattle, Washington.
All right, Josh is about to get after it. Tokyo Drift. Tokyo Love, come on now. Melina knows how to wrestle with that.
As we see Melina get in this wrist, one interesting development, you guys remember when Noah Ridge was on the semifinal route there when he made that, when he seemed like he was going to miss that clip, it looks like he was called off there. His feet got higher than the draw, so he was called off a lot lower than you saw.
Oh, no. So he didn't get that high point.
So he's not going to make it through to the final.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Wow. He did take a pretty big fall.
I saw that at the time, but it seemed they let him keep going. And typically, climbers are supposed to be called off when that happens.
Yeah, I think the belayers have been instructed to not call off unless they're absolutely sure. So certainly the belayer did not want to make a mistake there.
Yeah, that's a great point. You'd hate to call somebody off and then have them be like, oh, I actually didn't need to be called off there. So,
but wow, that is surprising and disappointing that Noah's not going to move on there.
Yeah, because he recovered so nicely, but just an unfortunate circumstance down there low on the route for Noah Ridge.
Yeah, bummer. That's one of those things we were talking about earlier. It's easy to make a mistake.
Josh Levin is our final male competitor here in the semifinal round. Really impressive show yesterday.
It seemed like Josh was even a little surprised himself how well he did yesterday. He's been dealing with injuries the past couple of years, but obviously back in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Great to see Josh back here. And Melina getting really, wow, that's
the high point.
There it is.
Melina Costanza, she has podiumed many times for youth climbing. She was third in 2016 and 2015. She's been second. She's been first, so that's not surprising.
I'll have to see if that's actually scored as a hold there where she matched with her left hand on the volume.
Right.
The competitors do get scored for positive upward progress, so whether that's a usable surface or not.
And our last climber could not make it past the high point or even to the high point.
So the top of that men's route is going to remain a mystery forever.
We'll just have to have Ashima climb it for us.
that's going to do it for the men here. We should be able to get you some unofficial results here in a few minutes. You can always check those out at usaclimbing.org as well. See who's going to make it through to the final tonight. Remember, finals are going to start around 6:45 Mountain Time. LT11.tv. This place is going to be packed.
They're predicting well over 1,000 people here at Movement Climbing and Fitness in Denver.
Yeah, if you're coming out, you should probably get here early.
It's no big deal. That's how many people they have here every Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Megan Mascarenas has joined us.
Megan is famous for her performance all year last year, just podium after podium, just winning all sorts of stuff. And here, of all places, we see her in a sport climbing comp.
Yeah, this was one of the fun things yesterday. Obviously, like you said, we've seen Megan do really well bouldering, winning bouldering World Cups, doing well at the World Championships last year, winning bouldering nationals last year as well. See her out here at Sport Nationals, super fun. See somebody mostly spends their time climbing 10 feet from the ground. Getting high off the deck here.
She's got some lock-off strength, though, so maybe she can make that move.
Yeah, that's a great point, Neely. Of all the women that have gone thus far, seems like if she can get there with some energy.
She's also super tricky. Like, she's kind of a contortionist. So maybe she'll do something different up there.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot in the bouldering comp. She's one of the more interpretive climbers out there.
But all eyes are on her and every other woman that comes after her. No more men today.
I think the main thing is just going to be how much rest she can get on that, where all the women have been resting. It's not something that she probably trains quite as frequently as some of these other competitors who focus more on lead climbing. Megan definitely a crowd favorite here from Colorado Springs, but spends a lot of time climbing up at the Movement in Boulder, or excuse me, at Team ABC up in Boulder.
Just 5 weeks ago, Megan, after a third place in the bouldering national semifinals, she came in 11th place overall. Definitely a little disappointing after her major performances last year, but still top showing, and she climbed on the sport route really well yesterday. I expect some good things from her on this attempt.
Yeah, I was impressed with her poise yesterday. Sometimes you see people that focus more on bouldering. When they get on a sport route, they tend to rush things. She climbed very well.
It actually looks like she knows what she's doing up there, Brian.
I don't know how hard she's climbed on routes outside, but she has sent V13 outside. So speaking of having power to spare on routes, she probably has some.
Let's see if she can figure this out.
Oh, she didn't like that.
Just going to have another look at it here.
I think we all want somebody, and it might as well be her, to get through this section.
I really want somebody to do it. I want to see those last moves.
See that she's just using up energy each time she tries to go up to that. Now she's going to try something a little different. She just didn't seem to like it the first time. Now she's not really sure what to do. This is a spot you hate to be in as a climber.
Take a rest.
You can See, she's getting some diminishing returns here. Not able to get back up there, and that's it for Megan Mascarenas. It seemed like her first push into that move was the best one, and she just didn't like what she found up there. So that's going to do it for Megan Mascarenas. As we have a break here, we're going to take a look at some live unofficial results for you here. Melina Costanza, Megan Martin, Juliet Hammer. Kind of all bottleneck there for the women. Megan should be pretty close to them as well.
So Melina did get points for matching that right-hand hold.
Yep.
For the men here, no real surprises. Bobby Taft-Pittman be the biggest surprise right now. Actually, a lot of surprises, I should say.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't have expected this at all. Shane Messer in 4th. Jesse Grouper, of all, in number 1. That's not necessarily surprising, but now it's Kai. Actually, there's some
updates.
Another update.
Just to prove that they're live.
That's right.
So certainly not surprising to see Kai, Jesse, and Drew, Josh, our top qualifiers, make it through to the finals. So I guess the biggest surprise would be Noah Rich getting called off low on the route for skipping a clip.
Kyra Condi out for the ladies.
Does she speed climb? Because she should.
Yeah, I think
does.
Kyra usually does pretty well.
I think she just does it no matter what the format is.
That's right. 20 years old from Shoreview, Minnesota. She was in 4th place at the Dark Horse Series, bouldering series that is, this year.
She's in school in Minnesota, kind of like Michaela Kirsch. They just make time for training. They make it a priority. She did really well in the Bouldering Cup Series this year, doing 2nd at Mesa Rim, 2nd at Vulcan Cup, 4th at Dark Horse, and 2nd at the Portland Boulder Rally. So she's definitely really good at bouldering.
Yeah, I talked to Kyra a little bit after qualifiers yesterday. She said she felt pretty good. Didn't get too tired at all. As difficult as this format is, the competitors are pretty used to this type of thing. And the youth circuit, they're used to 3-day-long competitions. So they're used to having to get up to climb maybe just 1 route a day to move on to the next round the next day. So they're a lot of practice at this type of thing.
Nice little hand-drawn bib number there. That's a great shot.
Yeah.
Let's hope that she can put her bouldering prowess to use here on these moves where nobody has been able to get past.
Yeah, I mean, in January of this year, she sent V12 in Red Rocks.
She's just going right for it. Kyra Condi pushing a new high point.
All right, that's how you do it.
Wow.
Yeah, none of the other women
making moves.
Oh, nice work for Kyra Condi, finally breaking into the Skyfall zone.
She's turning on the jets right now.
Yeah, she's looking a little nervous. Or pumped, or both.
So a great performance from Kyra Condi, pushing the high point way up there for the women. Punching her ticket to finals.
Making it seem possible.
That's a little bit of deja vu from yesterday where we saw on all the routes some of the competitors making things look difficult, and then the top climbers come out and breeze right past it.
Yeah.
That's a good juxtaposition just between Kyra and Megan, who went right before her, where Megan was just reevaluating that move over and over again, and Kyra just blew right through it.
It just goes to show how decision-making is just as much a part of on-sighting as strength or technique. I mean, Kyra just did not pause and just went for it, and it worked.
Yeah, you have to be decisive for sure. And that paid off for Kyra in a big way there. Because as soon as she got through that crux move, she made it 4 or 5 moves further very quickly.
Michaela could hear that that was a high point for the women. They do not get to watch each other, but there's no doubt that Michaela knows she needs to climb very high on this route in order to have a chance to get in.
Yeah, Michaela would have been sitting down there waiting for her attempt, so she knows that Kyra just got a high point. But Michaela's got to be coming with incredible confidence this weekend, coming off a string of 514C ascents at the Red River Gorge the past couple weekends. This will actually be a light weekend of climbing for Michaela.
Which is exactly what we were saying 5 weeks ago at Bouldering Nationals. She just won't stop.
She's had a massive year down at the Red River Gorge. See how that translates here on the walls at Movement.
She's a senior at DePaul University, 22 years old.
Yeah, she was our oldest finalist last year. And at this rate, she could be one of the oldest finalists again this year. The women's field skewing even younger this year with Brooke and Ashima in the field.
And last year she was 3rd place on the podium at Sport Climbing Nationals in Wisconsin.
I expect to see Michaela take her time a little bit more compared to Kyra. Just the difference of style. Michaela spent her morning yesterday before a qualifier studying for finals.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is going to be a breeze in comparison, I would imagine.
Yeah, last year she did, as Neely mentioned, 3 exactly 14 Cs in the red in the whole year. And this year, just last month, she did 3 in 8 days.
That's incredible. Who does that? She should be climbing on like 515 Bs.
Might be a long drive from DePaul to find the nearest 515.
That's true. So yesterday she actually didn't top out women's A. She got very close, but she did do women's B.
So even though Michaela heard Kyra get a high point there, that's got to give her a little bit of confidence that the sequence is doable now.
Yeah, it's really hard to overstate how that mental barrier being broken can just make huge gains for the following competitors, knowing that it's been done.
No surprise to see Michaela taking her time here. It's pretty much what you do at the red. That's where we saw Kyra just go right into the next sequence, but it's nice to see Michaela take her time. This is definitely something the competitors practice, is actually resting en route. It's a big component of these lead climbing comps, being able to get energy back in as many positions as you can.
Yeah, and it's cool how they set these routes such that there actually are rests. It seems like sometimes there aren't any. This mimics outdoor climbing a little bit more, I'd say, than the just pure power endurance climbing of some of the routes.
Yeah, we'll see if they continue that style for the women into the final, or if they just force them to keep it at 100 the whole time.
Nice.
Oh, gosh.
No.
Just does not like that hold.
And that's where that decisiveness for Kyra that you were talking about, Chris, really paid off. She did not hesitate in
it seems like they don't like the way it's turned. And you kind of just have to move your body to accommodate the hold. Come on, Michaela. Super strong.
That was so strong from Michaela Kirsch.
Wow.
Just pulled right through that move.
Yeah, and it's hard to imagine more opposite styles than Michaela and Kyra, who
Right.
we're seeing back-to-back on this route.
Yeah. Yeah, we might get to see this skyfall. I don't want to jinx it, but
Michaela just a move away from Kyra's high point. I'll try and figure out this clip.
Oh.
doesn't look easy. Uh-oh.
That's it for the clips. Michaela Kirsch
Nice,
going to gun for the
Michaela.
finish now. A long way between there and the finish.
Oh,
Great climbing from Michaela Kirsch there.
definite high point. Very exciting.
That was really impressive how she, at the move that stymied most of the women, she went for it and then came back and regrouped, where we saw Megan Mascarenas unable really to get back into that move at all. And Michaela able to get right back in it and power right past it.
She is definitely a world champion wrester, and if there's anything that these climbers can do on routes outside and translate inside, it's making a move, reversing it, and resting. And wow, I'm not sure too many of these competitors could do what Michaela just did. But we are about to find out with our top 4 females remaining: Claire Burfine, and then Brooke Rabatu, Margot Hayes, and Ashima Shirishi.
And Claire kind of quietly snuck into 4th place in qualifiers yesterday. Overshadowed just a little bit by the performance of our top 3. But Claire has come very close to winning this event in the past on multiple occasions, so be surprised to see her not make it to the final.
Yep, she came in 3rd in both 2015 and 2014. She's another Team Texas climber. She's 18 years old and she's 5'11". We'll see if that comes into or is placed to her advantage.
She's definitely one of the taller women out here at all the comps. Definitely makes things interesting for the route setters to have to set for her and Brooke on the same route, and Ashima.
Also a really solid competitor in bouldering. She was 3rd place in last year's bouldering nationals and 2nd actually in the youth bouldering nationals. And let's not forget that in 2014, what now sounds like kind of far back there, Claire Burfine, was the Seco Block champion.
That does seem like a long time ago. Claire trying to make her way into the final tonight. Be likely top 11 women and top 9 men in semis, or excuse me, in finals. Beginning around 6:45 tonight, Mountain Time. Get things underway with athlete preview. Get the show started. Get the climbing underway around 7 o'clock. Always an exciting show here. Lead climbing, final round. Remember, you can go to usaclimbing.org to check out the unofficial live results as they come in throughout the semifinal and final round. You also go there to get the official results for semifinals, which will probably come in after we go off the air here this morning.
Claire Burfine started climbing at 6 years old, and she has been competing since she was only 10.
she says that she likes to climb in the Red River Gorge too. And Seus and at Summit Climbing Gyms.
I'm curious whether her height is going to be a benefit for that move where the others seem to have to do a high reach.
Yeah, it seems like a really nope, no problem.
That didn't even look like a move.
No.
So we're definitely starting to see some of the separation that we were looking for here for the women.
I'm pretty sure that Claire did not even notice that was one of the cruxes of the route.
That's what it looked like. Tiny little feet up there, looks like. But there are plenty to choose from.
And Claire Burfine not able to figure that sequence out. You saw her trying to adjust her feet. She almost got in position, but that's going to do it for her.
So Michaela holds the high point.
Excellent work by Claire Burfine. Even Michaela made it look like a crux, but Claire did not even seem to care. That was awesome.
We're into the top 3 now for our incredibly talented women's field here. Compared to the men, the women's field going a little bit more like we expected coming into the comp this weekend. The men, sort of a wide array of names making it through to the final here.
This will be Brooke Robotu's first adult sport climbing nationals at 15 years old. There she is. Having only done a 5-minute preview of these routes, all the competitors are going to turn around and refresh their minds and refresh their hopeful beta that they're going to be doing from the ground. They all take a little bit of time to do this.
Yeah, the preview was like 2 hours ago at this point.
That's right.
So the climbers have been back in isolation this whole time, getting ready at their own pace.
Interesting to note that 2 of the top 3 are Team ABC teammates. Not surprising at all. Brooke Rabitou and Margot Hayes. So Brooke Rabitou obviously climbs at ABC. Her mom is Robin Erbisfield. It's always a tongue twister for me. She trains all of these crusher athletes. Brooke got 3rd in bouldering nationals for her first adult nationals this year.
Brooke is also right now currently overall youth world champion for her age group in sport speed and bouldering.
So Brooke also did really well in the National Cup Series. She did 3rd at Dark Horse last year, 2nd at Yankin Yard, and 4th at Vulcan Cup, and those were all bouldering comps. So she's definitely good at both bouldering and sport climbing. And she also sent a 14C last year, Southern Smoke, in the red.
Brooke always seems to be having the most fun out there. Trying to swing out to that super extended draw out there.
That's going to take some energy away from her. Might be a little hard for her to reach She's very petite. I think she's 5'1". She says she trains 4 or 5 days a week for 3+ hours.
Definitely one of the power three in this female comp. Brooke, Margot, and Ashima. Brooke is first out for these three, whom I think we all expect to see climb very high.
See her size kind of being an advantage at this position where she's able to kind of squeeze up into that rest on that small foot.
Wow.
No problem.
You're seeing incredible level that these women are at.
Yeah, the expertise with these last couple women on that section is just remarkable. Just a showstopper for everyone else in the competition, yet these women just make it look as easy as all the other moves.
And this is really what the root setters are after. Is Brooke,
wow.
See a eject button there, a little bit surprising.
Yeah, it just kind of floated off there. That was a slow-mo fall. Huh.
I think we can tell that the root setters are hoping that this is where they would see some separation between the top women in particular. And that's exactly what they're getting.
Well, in any case, she'll be in finals.
And Margot was not able to watch, of course, but she knows that no female has topped the wall yet. So she has this knowledge. She's going to turn around and also know that she is up against Ashima Shiraishi. Margot is our defending champion. She won last year here at Sport Nationals, and you know she wants that title again.
She also got second place in 2015. And she did well at Bouldering Nationals this year, too. A little team love there.
Yeah, she is definitely coming in on a high this year, having become the first woman to climb at 5:15 just a couple weeks ago over in Spain. She is really blowing up right now.
All right, everyone can see Inline USA Climbing is just informed me that our fifth draw, we got a cross-loaded quickly.
Sounds like the root setters are going to go up and fix a cattywampus quick draw on the wall. Got a little odd of sorts, so Margot going to get to hang tight for just a couple more seconds.
And there we're seeing the future of female climbing. Ashima Shiraishi on the left and Margot Hayes in the foreground. These two women have a lot in front of them, both in competitions and outdoor climbing.
And this is really something we've been looking forward to all weekend, having some of the best climbers in the world here at Nationals. Would expect to see them facing off against each other for years to come.
That's right.
You can see Margot there breathing, making a strong attempt to take deep breaths. Got to do, especially because they're making her wait. It's got to be nerve-wracking.
As if it isn't nerve-wracking enough.
Yeah.
Getting real serious down there.
And it looks like they got the quick draw fixed. No big deal, just a little bit of a cross-loaded quick link. But yeah, everything's good to go. I think Margot will be up here in just a few moments.
Those root setters, man, they were working until 4:45 this morning. They got to be tired.
Pull down the road, get after it, the last few ladies.
So all eyes will be on Margot Hayes. If she is feeling any pressure this weekend, she did not show it yesterday. She looked very comfortable on both qualifiers.
Right, both she and Ashima flashed both problems yesterday. They were the only two to do that. Brooke topped B but didn't quite get A.
All right, guys, give it up for Margo Hayes. She put on a master class for you guys yesterday. Two very strong flashes. Coming off the heels of the legendary, groundbreaking sing, 90 plus La Rambla, the Promenade, in Sorana, Spain. Super classic Roman fight.
Taking her time there. They say that if they take more than about 40 seconds to start the route, they'll sort of call them onto the route.
Just start yanking on the rope.
Yeah. There's no official time limit, but they like to keep things moving along.
And you'd have to think that Margo herself does feel a little extra pressure. Just all of the defending champions would. There's nowhere to go except back down the ladder. So you know that she's just fighting here to stay where she was, and yet she just takes that pressure so calmly.
It's definitely been a trend for the women the past several years where whoever has won for the women has gone on to repeat. Sasha DeJulian was 3-time national champion in a row, and then Delaney Miller 3 times in a row. So Margo trying to keep that trend going here with her trying to go back-to-back.
So Margo's a very mature 19 years old. She's 5'5". And last year, besides her 15A ascent this year, last year she did the first female ascent of Bad Girls Club, 14D. She did the Crew, 14C, and Pure Imagination, 14C. So she had a really great year, too.
Margo has a very distinctive climbing style. You'll notice she'll be putting her heel up pretty much on anything she possibly can, and it always seems to serve her well.
Margo decided to go live in France last semester. She's still there, I believe. And she says she's going to stay there so that she can compete more easily in World Cups this year. Not to mention the amazing climbing that she has at her on her backyard.
All right. The only competitor to do a full-on double toe hook bat hang.
I mean,
Margo Hayes.
Those are some rifle skills right there. She looks super calm.
She has a penchant for doing this in competitions. There was the World Cup in Vail a couple years ago where as soon as you get on the wall, your time doesn't really run out at that point. So she got on the wall and just rested for a couple minutes in a strange position.
I asked John Cardwell and Maddie Hong about how they all climbed on La Rambla, the 15A in Spain together. What was their style like between the three of them? And John said that if nothing else, Margo just rested a hell of a lot longer than the other guys did. So
smart.
Here we get to see a bit about what that means.
Yeah, she seems like an old soul, just real patient and calm.
All right, Margo Hayes has worked for it. She's going to be getting into the abyss on the Skyfall.
it's easy to imagine that just like the last couple women, Margot may not even notice this crux.
Right.
See her really using that left hand to push up into this. It's a little bit hesitant, but
oh, wow.
Ooh,
Come
not
on.
quite getting the height there, is she?
see her not panicking, though. But she's definitely struggling.
Oh.
Wow. A surprising fall from
surprise.
Margot Hayes. Doesn't look like she saw that hold around the corner, so a bit of a surprise there for Margot. That should still get her through to the to the finals, excuse me.
Yeah, I would imagine that she's definitely in finals. Well, I'm not going to say
Well,
definite.
she
Nothing's
made
definite.
some
But
good upward progress, so she must get points for that.
yeah, but you know that she's not too happy about that performance. We can only hope it doesn't rattle her too much. It's funny that we're even talking like this because just a few women ago we would have been screaming, "Yay, that's a high point!"
Right.
But gosh, they sure turned it up here in the last 4 or 5 women.
Yeah, it was surprising. You can see that she definitely looked uncomfortable, but she never panicked. She just couldn't quite figure out where her next hold was. You see, she definitely had power to spare there, pressing up into that a lot more strongly than some of the other women that we've seen on that move.
Right, I kind of think that might have screwed her a little bit because she got so locked off. It seems like a lot of the women just fluidly, sort of dynamically went up with their left hand.
And just like that, in this qualifying round, semifinal round, excuse me, we are down to our last competitor, young phenom Ashima Shiraishi, one of the most well-known young climbers in the entire world. Has been setting records since she was 9 years old. So we've been waiting for this day for a long time to see her here at Adult Nationals.
That's right. Our narrative from last year was we could not wait to see both Brooke and Ashima in their first Adult Nationals, and here we are. We've seen Brooke. She did very well. And now Ashima Shiraishi on the wall in semifinals here.
So she's 15 years old, and the rule is as long as you are going to turn 16 in 2017, then you can compete with the adults. So that's why she and Brooke and all these other 15-year-olds are here today.
So at this point, Michaela Kirsch out in front for the women. Kyra Condi, Claire Burfine, and Brooke Rabitu behind her. See where Ashima's able to slot herself in there.
There's got to be a more intense sense of competition, I think, between Margot and Ashima. They have both proven themselves indoors and outdoors, climbing the hardest routes in the world that women have climbed. And here they are, back-to-back competitors in a sport climbing competition. It's just got to be intense, and it's so hard to tell. Their faces really don't give it away, but you know that they're really vying for that top spot today.
Likewise, Ashima and Brooke have been in the same age category and the youth circuit all these years, and they are constantly battling one another for those youth national championships.
Right, but it usually ends up being Ashima first, Brooke second. Ashima is a 5-time consecutive ABS Youth National Champ. That was different, seemed like.
Oh, interesting. Ashima completely skipping that rest.
Wow.
Where most women have spent so much time and where Margot got that double bat hang toe hook.
You know,
I'll see your double bat hang.
I don't think she saw that was a good hold on top of that volume.
Wow, that is very surprising. Ashima changing the beta that every other woman who got up there did. Ashima just skips it.
And as Ashima rests there, we can confirm that it does look like Margot Hayes should make it through to the final. So she got the highest score of the women that fell right at that sequence there. just based on the strength of her qualifying performance, actually breaking a tie with Melina Costanza, Megan Martin, and Juliet Hammer, who all fell at that same move.
So Oshima is the strongest boulderer here outdoors. She's climbed 2 V15s in 2016. She was the youngest person to do a V15, actually.
I'm wondering if she's noticed now, resting on this thing, that she could have been resting on a much better hold just a couple draws earlier.
I'm not sure she gets tired, though, Chris.
That's a good point, Brian. We're about to find out. She also, it doesn't seem like she likes that hold either.
She's locked off a lot stronger, though, than Margot was.
See her able to feel her way onto that hold that Margot was not able to find. So this crowd is ready to get behind Oshima here, our last semifinalist.
Indeed, Brian, it sure does not look like she's getting tired.
Come on now, let's put her on the USA national team. Let's get this. Come on.
Climbing very smoothly.
Taking her time.
She definitely has a methodical nature to her climbing.
And as we pointed out in qualifiers yesterday, Oshima is perfectly capable of these dynamic moves, but she will do anything she can to not have to make a dynamic move.
Like use that tiny jib outright, probably.
Here she goes.
Knee bar.
She's going to have to get dynamic here, Chris. She wants to be the only woman to finish the Skyfall route.
So the only person to get up here is Michaela Kirsch. Wow.
Oshima Shiraishi.
Go big.
Doesn't even have to cut the feet. An incredible flash on site for Oshima Shiraishi.
Inspirational.
Making a statement, you guys.
Wow. I wonder what Margot is thinking right now, as Oshima is the only woman to top out the semifinal route.
She's probably thinking that was awesome and inspirational.
She just ratcheted up the pressure on these women going into finals tonight. So I think we can expect to see Oshima in the final tonight. She will be our #1 qualifier into the final as we check out the men's semifinal scores here. Kai Leitner, Jesse Gruber, Drew Ruana, Josh Levin. No surprises there, but in 5th place, Bobby Taft Pittman making it through to the final. Shane Messer, Vasia. Joey Katama coming out as our
very
first semifinals for the men, making it into the final. Awesome, awesome climbing by him. We'll be taking the top 9 men to the finals here. Everyone heads for the hills. You can go to usaclimbing.org in a little bit to check out the final results for semifinals. There's an appeal period always at these events to make sure that everyone got their scores entered correctly as we check out the women's scores here. Oshima obviously be in 1st place once her score gets entered.
Not surprising that Michaela Kirsch is next, followed by Kyra Condi and Claire Burfine and Brooke Robitou. Margot Hayes down in what will be 6th place there once Oshima is scored. And following that, another list of very strong women here. We've got an excellent finals round coming up for you tonight.
Yeah, maybe no surprise for who is in the top 5 or 6 there for the women, but the order is a little bit surprising. Brooke and Margot falling a little bit lower than you might have expected.
Exactly.
But as we talked about all morning here, the scores reset going into finals, so you just got to get into the final, get your chance to take down this national championship. We're going to come back tonight around 6:45. You guys get the table set for finals. Do not miss that. Come back at lt11.tv around 6:45 for tonight's final round.
Going to be a huge set of action here for the men and the women tonight. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. For Neely Quinn, Chris Widener, this is Brian Reynolds saying so long from Denver. We'll see you guys tonight.
EP poured the first handhold in 1985. Here we are 30 years later. Chances are if you climbed inside, you've climbed on an EP hold.